Hello everybody and welcome to this Sterling's to Coast Farmers tutorial on creating variable rate maps for nitrogen based on NDVI satellite data. So first of all, I'd like to thank Data Farming for their support in putting together this tutorial, and also to the crew at Urella Farms for providing a paddock for us to do this with. So without further ado, let's get started. So first of all, we're going to go to datafarming.com. Just Google that and you'll get to their homepage here. So just a note on pricing of this. They have 3 subscription tiers. Today we're going to be using their free basic tier. And this allows us to put all our paddocks in. You can have multiple farms if you like. Things like area calculation. You can also view the 10 meter pixel NDVI imagery. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just pay per hectare for our variable rate maps. So to get started, we're going to go into login/sign up. And then what you're going to do is, if you haven't got an account already, sign up, email and password, and hit sign up, or you can use any of these single sign-on options. I've already got an account, so let me just log into that. Once you've logged in, you'll come to the landing page. What we're going to do first is create our farm. Farm name, tutorial. Then we're going to need fields. So you can upload files. So if you've got a shapefile or a KML/KMZ file of all your paddocks exported from AgWorld or My John Deere or CNH, any of those ones, you can do that. For today, we're only doing one field, so we're going to go through the drawing process for that. So next up, we're going to go to the top right and we're going to search for our locality, and that will get us pretty close. So let's just find this paddock that has been kindly provided to us. Alright, now that we've found our paddock, I'm just going to go to the top left here and select the draw tool, and we're going to start drawing in our paddock. So I'm going to take note here of where it is, and I'm just clicking with my left mouse button to get the paddock drawn, and then I'm holding my left mouse button down to drag around. Now it's important not to get any tree or other areas that are not cropped, because they will disrupt our NDVI. So I'm just being quite careful to go around the tree line there, and we're definitely going to need to go around the dam. And then to finish off our paddock, we're just going to click back on the start, which is indicated by this here, black dot. Now I've left this section here out because it's not been cropped this year, as it's quite salty. And the next thing you'll know is that I've left this big block of trees in, and I did that as I want you to show you the cut tool. So when we've got blocks of trees in the middle of the paddock, or we've got drains such as up here, we need to cut those out because it will throw off our NDVI data. So here I'm just going to take the cut tool and cut that right out. Same thing, once you finish clicking back on the start, that's removed, and then we'll come down and we'll do this block of trees. So if this was in the middle of the paddock, it would leave everything either side of it, but because this is basically on the edge, I'm just going to take it over to the edge like that. Come back up, make sure we've got the edge, and click on that first one. So same again, if it was in the middle of a paddock, we would do the same, and it would cut that out. Now this last one here, remove field holes. Basically, if I've accidentally done that now, click on it and it rejoins it back into the field. So once we've done that and we're happy with our boundary and we've cut out our tree lines, dams, holes, etc., we're going to call it, give it a name. So this can be tutorial crop. So that's its current crop. So we're going to select canola and we know it's 45.5 hectares. And then once we've done our first paddock, we can go ahead and we can start drawing in our second paddock. And same thing, close that off, give it a name, etc. I'm just going to remove that now because we're just focusing on this one canola paddock today. Save changes. So then this is our main map view. So it's going to give us a few instructions here. So select fields, view field by selecting the field panel. So we can select the field from the list that will show up here. We can then going to look at the different layers that we can overlay this. And then this down here is our NDVI data dates along with a percentage of cloud cover. It's important to try and get as close to 0% as possible when selecting one of these days because cloud cover will affect the satellite imagery and effectively block it and it won't give you accurate readings. Next, farm options. So that will give us options around the specific farm and then all our navigation tools. So farm options, add collaborators. So if you've got an agronomist or other members of staff that you want to add on, rename, and then this option here for import fields. So if I then wanted to go and import all my fields because I've got them off the machinery or another platform, I can do that here. Same thing, shapefile or KML file, select files to upload, and bring it in that way. Just going to go over to layers here on the left hand side and select NDVI, and then I'm going to select May 19th because that was the last clear day that the satellite went over and took our reading. So now that that satellite imagery is loaded, you can see our key down the bottom right here. So blue is higher NDVI and then going down. So we can see the blue is going to be our better performing areas and the red's going to be our lower performing areas. This paddock is cabbaging now, so it will be pretty accurate at this stage. If you've got sort of a 2-3 leaf cereal, then there's going to be a lot of bare area between the rows, so it's not going to show up as well. So we really need to hit that sort of mid-tillering stage for cereals before they start showing up accurately on the NDVI. So next, to create our variable rate map, I'm going to hit the I want to button, and then we're going to go down and we're going to go create prescription maps. We're going to call it application 1 or nitrogen application 1. Standard resolutions, all we're going to be able to access with our free tier of this using NDVI, and then we're going to select our date as the May 19th because it was the latest, lowest amount of cloud cover date. Then we're going to use the auto zoning, which is going to be based on our NDVI, and we're going to select 3 zones to start with, and we're going to create using a 25 meter resolution. I find 25 or 50 meters will be the best, as 5 you tend to get very fiddly little zones. So yeah, 25 or 50 is going to be the best option there. Then we've got a slider down here for transparency, which allows you to show the NDVI versus how it's created the zone map. So looking at that, you can see our blue areas and blue bleeding out is going to be our zone number 3, blue zone, which is the higher performing areas, and then down to our orange zone, so zone 1, that will be our least performing areas. I recommend doing at least 3 zones, because if you go for any less, so 2 zones, you tend to get blurring between the 2 low and high areas of the paddock. So you can see we've got a lot of red there, but that's getting blended in with some of the yellow and orange on there. If you go up to 5 zones, this can also not be ideal, because you get a lot of really small fiddly zones, and then that's a lot to define for the machinery as it passes over the paddock. So I think personally I would be going with 3 zones. 4 zones is fine, but again you get some pretty small ones in the paddock there. With resolution as well, that can help. So if you go to 50 meters, then you get a lot clearer in terms of zone definition. So once we're happy with our auto zoning settings, so we're going to go for 3 zones and a 50 meter output scale resolution. We're going to select next, and this is where we can fine tune our zoning. We can even add another zone if we want to, and define our rates. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take this blue section here and I'm going to add it to this green, so that we don't just have a blue section there out on its own. So I want to add it to zone 2, so I'm going to select the little brush icon, come down and color that in as part of zone 2. Once we've done that, we come here and we define our rates. So 1 is our lowest performing area, so we're going to go 80 kilos of product, and then our medium production zone 120, and then we're really happy with zone 3's performing, we're going to crank that to 180 kilograms of product per hectare. So now that we're happy with our 3 zones and we've defined our nitrogen product rates, I'm going to come down to the bottom left here and hit add to cart. So as we're on a free account, we do need to pay, and it's a cost per hectare to come in and create these maps. So this works well if this is a one-off time using VRT on this and we want to just pull this in. But yeah, if you're going to do a lot of paddocks across the year and a lot of timings, then those premium subscriptions that give you unlimited access to these tools are really good. But for now, we're just going to do this one paddock. I'm going to proceed to checkout, and then all you do is, as a regular online checkout, fill in card details, etc., and pay. So I'm just going to do this, and I will see you in a second. Okay, now that our payment has been successful, we're able to go ahead and download our fields with our 3 zones. So I'm going to select the download button here. I'm just going to download the entire farm, so any of those fields that we've just downloaded. And what that will give us is a zip file with the various paddocks. So this is our tutorial paddock as a shapefile. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to right click and hit extract back to my downloads. It does give you a big long complicated name, which we can actually change by simply changing the last word in this string before the slash. Extract that. Now we have our shapefile that we can upload into our machinery, or whatever way you're going to actually apply the nitrogen. So you can upload this into my John Deere or put it on a thumb drive directly into your Trimble or whatever controller you're using.